5 Keys to Becoming More Tolerant of Failure. There are people whom any trouble literally unsettles. They perceive it as a universal catastrophe. There are people whom any trouble literally unsettles. They perceive it as a universal catastrophe. This happens every time their expectations are not met. This happens every time they fail projects, or let others down. This happens every time they are hurt, or uncomfortable due to some life circumstances. Let's not pretend. No one likes to feel like a failure, get frustrated and lose. However, our life is not perfect. No one promised that it would be easy, and our path is covered with exceptionally fragrant roses of beauty. Everyone wants their dreams to come true, and we are appreciated, loved and praised. However, the reality is different from the fairy tale, and makes its own adjustments. There is a very wise quote: "Life is not what you want it to be, life is just life." Golden words, but many of us categorically do not want to believe in it, and even more so, to accept it. We want everything at once. We don't want to wait, and we don't want to be disappointed. And even more so, to get up, go forward again and try again. We want to receive everything at once, and at this very moment. In addition, at the same time, we also expect the path to success to be comfortable, enjoyable and fun. We sincerely believe that this is how it should be. Unfortunately, many people are sure that this world works this way and nothing else. Life is not what you want, life is just life. Who among us has not heard such words as, "You should be happy," or "You should not be sad"? And here lies the main danger. It is in the word should. Why? Yes, because nothing in this world should. And you don't owe anything to anyone. And no one owes you anything. Everything is as it is, and not as should be, at our discretion. Awareness of this simple, and at the same time very deep truth, can help in life, or vice versa, hinder and slow down. If you only think about what should be, and how it should be, you will be nervous, angry and indignant all the time. Disappointment will become a constant companion, and pessimism will be the only way out, no matter how the circumstances develop. Let's think, for example, about how our life should be. Should it be perfect, pleasant, successful, bringing only pleasure and joy? Sounds childish, doesn't it? No, it shouldn't. For the simple reason that it is not so, and impossible in principle. We can strive to get as close as possible to success, joy, pleasant and desirable things, while maintaining tolerance. So take it as part of the game. Our lives are full of millions of shades of gray. We rarely encounter black or white situations. And if that's always the case, then why do we keep thinking differently? Why do we, like parrots, repeat should be? Must is a dangerous enemy. What does should mean? According to the dictionary, must means to be obliged to do something. For example, the sun must rise every day. When we decide that something should be a certain way, we impose a script on ourselves. We say that the things around us, people, animals, objects, must comply with all prescribed plot twists. Thus, we assign ourselves the role of not even a director, but almost the supreme deity, who decides everything and for everyone. Naturally, objections or plot inconsistencies are not even expected. But the truth is that no matter how hard we try to hide our desires with such a formula, everything will still be as it should be, despite all our efforts and expectations. Because life is not a movie. Why? Because we can't make the earth spin the way we want, and we can't force people to think and act the way we imagined. It is useless to impose your script on life. This is a utopia. This only adds to our disappointment, sadness and loss. So be careful of those who say that you should be a good person, or you shouldn't suffer because of this. They just talk about their expectations. Sometimes you can be a good person to them, and sometimes not, because you don't owe anyone anything. Belief in shoulds, and shoulds is the source of intolerance for failure. It is this intolerance that prevents us from enjoying small pleasures. All or nothing is the most harmful formula in life. What exactly does all mean? Your scenario? Your should? This is similar to the situation with children who cry and get angry because their parents didn't buy the candy they wanted. They scream, get angry, get offended. They still do not know that everything in life does not happen the way you want. This is why parents should teach their children to manage their emotions. Know what is possible and what is not. Why? Because that's how the world works. Adults must accept reality as it is. Come to terms with the fact that she does not always obey our desires, even if they are exceptionally noble. In fact, the probability of fulfillment of desires is completely independent. It depends on whether they are good or evil. There are people who have been brought up to have should written in their head like malware, hence the constant dissatisfaction and anxiety. Others, on the contrary, have learned not to take failure or disappointment personally. This is all thanks to the experience gained, which taught them that mistakes and failures are an integral part of the path to success. The American psychologist Albert Ellis wrote, "While some people strive for their goal and get angry if their desires are not fulfilled, others literally demand, insist, or dogmatically order that their desires be satisfied. The former have much fewer problems, they are more successful and self-confident. But the second, stubborn, becomes incredibly anxious, depressed, or hostile. There is nothing wrong with getting angry if something does not work out the way you wanted. We are all people, and nothing worldly is alien to us. But demanding the fulfillment of desires, not accepting refusal, is already unhealthy and fraught with problems in physical and psychological health. So the choice is yours. Grow up and learn to patiently accept failure, or stomp your feet and scream like a 3-year-old child who didn't get candy." People who are intolerant of failure think and behave in certain ways. And this is no coincidence. They have a set of beliefs that determine the vision of the world and the interpretation of reality. These are the following beliefs. Life should be easy and comfortable. They confuse desire with necessity. They must get everything they want, so they demand, expect, and insist on it. Any difficulty, delay, or failure for them is already a disaster and the end of the world. It will not work to accept the situation. After all, they should. 5 keys to becoming more tolerant of failure. Even if you were raised with a must spirit and instilled with beliefs like those listed above, all is not lost. There are things we can do to learn how to deal with failure. Identify your irrational beliefs. When you feel frustrated, try to analyze what you are saying to yourself. What thoughts have taken over you? Catch them like annoying flies and write them down. Most likely, words such as should, always, never, I can't stand this will dominate in your internal dialogue. This is the root of your suffering. Change your irrational beliefs. Once you've determined what you're telling yourself and realize it's not helping you, move on to the next step. It's time to talk to yourself in a different way and change the habitual way of thinking. This process takes a lot of trial and error, but it's worth it. To get started, use words such as, I would like to, inconvenient, but you can endure, sometimes you have to, and so on. It's about replacing your irrational beliefs with more adaptive ones. Dare to face failure. Do not run away from failures. On the contrary, meet with a wave, openly and boldly. This is one of the best strategies to help you get stronger and more resilient. Make a list of such situations. Write how they affect you. Once you do that, make the decision to face failure head on. Do nothing to avoid anxiety. You are going through a difficult period, and it is absolutely normal to react accordingly. Over time, your tolerance for failure will increase, and you will worry less. If possible, take steps to prevent this from happening again. Try to look for solutions that will help you not get upset in difficult situations. For example, stop looking at your watch if the person you have an important meeting with is running late. Instead, Do something productive. Read. Look at records that you will never get to. Finally, look at the situation from the other side. Find pluses and lessons in failures, and they will definitely come. This will not only reassure, but also prevent possible disappointment. Learn to distinguish wants from needs. It is one thing, for example, to need a bigger house, and another thing to need a luxurious mansion with a swimming pool. When you get something, and don't get it, you get upset. This is logical. However, if you know that you want something real, then in principle you really perceive failure. Life doesn't always turn out the way we want it to. This will make it easy to overcome disappointment. In fact, we need very few things in life. Learning to distinguish between what we need and what we want is the key to not feeling like a failure. Avoiding failure in life is very difficult. At least no one has been able to do it yet. We all make mistakes, some more, some less. Remember, you have already experienced so much in your life and emerged victorious. It will work out this time too.